Well, no additional problems found on the first IF tube. I did, when I was checking resistance, I found there's 4 resistors, I think. Yes, right there. Those 4 that I have circled are 26, 27, 28, and 30. They all check high in resistance, so I'll probably go ahead and change those too. But like I said before, probably won't make the circuit not work, but they have increased in value, all 4 of those. All the other resistance checks are good, so I'm going to try to repair that coil, that L11 right there, and solve this video problem. Well, that broken coil in the IF, that's what was causing a washed out picture. So there it is on channel 6. And my contrast control, I've cleaned it and cleaned it. It's pretty bad shape. I mean, it'll work, but there it is. Next I'll tackle the sound, because I still don't have any audio. But hey, we got the picture back, and it looks pretty good. Well, I had a simple fix on the audio problem. R54, which is right there. That resistor was open. Hadn't increased in value, it was just totally open, so simple fix.
Spin the tires a little bit. Brooks is inside where he had plenty of grip and passes him easily. As we'll go back and take another look at this. Yeah, it looked like they were going to make some pretty...
So we got good volume now. Took care of that problem. Getting close to wrapping this up. I did check the resistors in the vertical and the horizontal circuits. Didn't find any really that were more than 10% out of tolerance, so didn't change any more there. I will continue to play it for a while just to be sure. Well, not much left of the rear cover for this yoke. You see, that's the only pieces I have. I think that one went right there. So I'm trying to come up with something to make a cover for this, and also a holder for these magnets. This is just a jar lid, and that will fit on there. And that's a possibility. And then I'd have to come up with something to mount these magnets in. I'm going to look around the shop here to see if I can find anything that'll work any better. Well, after looking around, I've decided to go with this jar lid, and I've already cut a place out for the wires at the side, and it snaps on and it's tight, so that should stay on there. And I can always put a little dab of silicone on each side just to keep it tighter. So now I've got to cut my hole for the 2 magnets. Well, we're getting there. What I've done here on the rings, but this is just a piece of that lid, that plastic lid that I cut, and I just super glued it where they join, plus I just put tape around it, and then that'll go in there, and then I'll put something on the inside. I'll probably cut that down a little bit where it won't hit the inside of the yoke, and then put a ring of some sort in there to hold that. Piece of plastic. It is in a cone shape, and the larger part of the cone's on the outside of the rings to hold them in position. Here's a completed yoke cover. I think it should work. Everything's adjusting. The magnets both move okay. And got the little hole cut in the side for the wires. That's a good solid cover there that'll eliminate any chances of getting a shock from those wires underneath. So I think that fits pretty good. It should work. Do have one more issue. Horizontal frequency coil. Normally this would have the shaft would be out here and it'd have a little knob on it to adjust it, and they get broken a lot. This one's broken off too. Now the frequency is fine where it's set at. It locks in good, so that's not a problem, but I would like to try to repair that and have an adjustment knob out here where you could adjust it if you needed to. Well, found one more problem. This resistor, it's a 2200 ohm or 2.2K. Checks good, but look what's happening to it. You can see when it gets hot, it's leaking out. And it's not the caps above it, it's that resistor. So I'm going to change it too. There's a graveyard of old parts so far. Probably 6 or 8 resistors that I changed. There's a couple of dog bones. Well, that set's playing well. Good sound, good picture. So we've got a couple more things to do to wrap it up. These CRT mounts right under here. Let me turn the sound down. There we go. These CRT mounts are like a piece of rubber that they rest on. They're kind of dried out. They're still working okay, but kind of dried out. So I'm going to pull the tube back loose. And I've got an idea on what I can put under that to just kind of freshen it up a little. Took the tube out, and here's my idea for these areas here. Here's what I'm going to do. See, that was just a kind of a rubbery stuff, and it's still there for the most part, but you can see here it's pieces of it gone. And so I'm just going to use this foam on a roll here. Got a sticky back on it, and I'll just cut some pieces to put here and here and on each side. And we'll get the tube put back in. Okay. I decided to go ahead and put a little piece here in the top too. So that should work. We'll get the tube put back in now.
Oh, well, you're hot. Maybe you shouldn't go down there.
It'll be disappointed.
Well, they'll get over it.
I did find one more thing here on the chassis that I need to work on. It's not that big a deal, but this rubber grommet goes around the tuner shaft. See, it's cracked and split. Well, I think I've got a new one I can put on that. And I was able to find one, so there's a new grommet on that. And we'll just put that back on. Put the 2 screws back, and that'll tighten up that shaft a lot. Here's what's left of the switch. On-off switch. She's pretty fried up. So fortunately, I had this old control off of an old TV chassis, and it uses the same type switch. So I just had to take it apart, and it's in good shape. There's the switch off of that old one, mounted on the Travler switch, or Travler control. And that took care of that, so we can get that put back in. And here's a final look underneath the chassis. Recoated the top of the transformer, as you can see there. Keep that lead stable. Here's a rear view of the chassis with it playing. I decided just to not worry about the horizontal frequency coil there. It's locking fine, and there's still just a little bit of adjustment left. Really see no reason to put a new coil in, just to have a knob for an adjustment. So I'm going to let that go for now. And one more thing I'm going to do to the chassis, and this is probably not necessary, but because this transformer had been super hot in the past and I had to repair it, I'm going to relocate the rectifier tube. See what I've done here already, just to test it to see if it works okay, and it does. We've got a pedestal mount with a socket on it, and there's room under the chassis. There's nothing in this area here underneath, so I've got plenty of room to mount that pedestal on top and then run screws down through to the underneath. Then I just made a pigtail from the socket on the pedestal over to the transformer, and I've got the set on right now. Been running for an hour or so, and that transformer is really cool. So it's got to help, because I know that tube gets pretty hot once it gets warmed up and gets to working well. So this will keep some heat off the transformer, hopefully. Probably kind of going overboard to do that, but I had the socket with the pedestal mount that I can use, and I thought, well, I'm going to try it just to see if it does help the temperature of the transformer, and it definitely does. And there's the set playing. Just have a piece of wire for an antenna. That's why we're getting those bars going up the screen, but that's working fine. Transformer's cooler, tube will work just fine right there, so I'm going to go ahead and mount that pedestal with the socket in it, and that'll be the last thing I'll do to the chassis. Now that we have the chassis working well, stay tuned for the next and last video where we'll be restoring the cabinet. Then we'll put it all back together and show you the finished TV. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.